Mustangs, it's Haley
and Alana,
and welcome back to Mustang Report for the 25-26 school year.
Did you know that this weekend is a 3-day weekend, including Labor Day? What do you have to say about that?
Well, I don't really know what Labor Day is all about. So now on to our story about Labor Day.
Hey Mustangs, it's Ariana, here to give you a little history on Labor Day. Observed the first Monday in September, Labor Day is an annual celebration of the social and economic achievements of American workers. The holiday is rooted in the late 19th century when labor activists pushed for a federal holiday to recognize the many contributions workers have made to America's strength, prosperity, and well-being. Before it was a federal holiday, Labor Day was recognized by labor activists in individual states after municipal ordinances were passed in 1885 and 1886. A movement developed to secure state legislation. New York was the first state to introduce a bill, but Oregon was the first to pass a law recognizing Labor Day. On February 21st, 1887, during 1887, four more states, Colorado, Massachusetts, New Jersey, and New York passed laws creating a Labor Day holiday. By the end of the decade, Connecticut, Nebraska, and Pennsylvania had followed suit. By 1894, 23 more states had adopted the holiday, and on June 28, 1894, Congress passed an act making the first Monday in September of each year a legal holiday. Who first proposed the holiday for workers? It's not entirely clear, but two workers can make a solid claim to the founder of Labor Day title. Some records show that in 1882, Peter J. McGuire, General Secretary of the Brotherhood of Carpenters and Joiners and a co-founder of the American Federation of Labor, suggested setting aside a day for a general holiday for the laboring classes to honor those who from rude nature have devolved and carved all the grandeur we behold. But Peter McGuire, place in Labor Day history, has not gone unchallenged. Many believe that machinist Matthew McGuire, not Peter McGuire, founded the holiday. Recent research seems to support the contention that Matthew McGuire, later the secretary of Local 344 of the International Association of Machinists in Paterson, New Jersey, proposed the holiday in 1882 while serving as secretary of the Central Labor Union in New York. According to the New Jersey Historical Society, after President Cleveland signed the law creating a National Labor Day, the Paterson Morning Call published an opinion piece stating that the souvenir pin should go to Alderman Matthew McGuire of the city, who is the undisputed author of Labor Day as a holiday. Both McGuire and McGuire attended the country's first Labor Day parade in New York City that year. The first Labor Day holiday was celebrated on Tuesday, September 5th, 1882, in New York City, in accordance with the plans of the Central Labor Union. The Central Labor Union has held its second Labor Day holiday just a year later on September 5th, 1883. By 1894, 23 more states had adopted the holiday, and on June 28th, 1894, President Grover Cleveland signed a law making the first Monday in September of each year a national holiday. Many Americans celebrate Labor Day with parades and parties, festivities very similar to those outlined by the first proposal for a holiday, which suggested that the day should be observed with a street parade to exhibit the strength and esprit de corps of the trade and labor organizations of the community, followed by a festival for the recreation and amusement of the workers and their families. This became the pattern for the celebrations of Labor Day. Speeches by prominent men and women were introduced later as more emphasis was placed upon the economic and civic significance of the holiday. Still later, by a resolution of the American Federation of Labor Convention of 1909, the Sunday preceding Labor Day was adopted as Labor Day Sunday and dedicated to the spiritual and educational aspects of the labor movement. American labor has raised a nation's standard of living and contributed to the greatest production the world has ever known, and the labor movement has brought us closer to the realization of our traditional ideals of economic and political democracy. It is appropriate, therefore, that the nation pays tribute to Labor Day to the creators of so much of the nation's strength, freedom, and leadership, the American worker.
Thank you, Ariana. Now Jada with sports.
Hey Mustangs, it's Jada. Here's your sports for the week.
Last week, your boys cross country won first overall. Leading the Stampede was Sammy Ledbetter. Your girls cross country team won third overall with an amazing run led by Abigail Leonard. Mustang volleyball played in the Allen tournaments last weekend against John Paul and won 2-1 and 1-1 for the whole tournament. Varsity football tonight versus Capel at HBJ Stadium. Come out and support on the home side. Volleyball games Tuesday, September 2nd versus Wiley East. 9th and JV at 5:30 p.m., varsity at 6:30 p.m. These are away games. Football games Wednesday, September 3rd against Lamar. Games at 5:30 p.m. and 7 p.m. Freshmen at the Workman Stadium, JV at the Mustang Stadium. Varsity football Thursday, September 4th versus Lamar. 7 p.m. at the UTA Stadium, the visitor side.
Now to Adam with Word of the Week.
What's up, Sexy High School? It's Adam with the Word of the Week, and the Word of the Week is pother. The definition of pother is commotion or fuss.
Now with Gina with the weather.
Hey Mustangs, for this week's weather, it seems mostly cloudy on the weekend, with Saturday having a high in 83 and low 71, while Sunday has a high of 84 and a low 69. Moving on to Monday being mostly sunny, reaching a high of 89 and a low 68. Tuesday and Wednesday seem partly cloudy with a high of 91 on both days, but Tuesday will have a low of 71 while Wednesday will have a low of 74. On to Thursday, it seems that we'll have early morning thunderstorms with the temperature being a high 90 and a low 71. Now ending with light showers on Friday, having a high of 87 and a low of 71. That's all I got for you Mustangs. See you next week.
Now to Jonathan with This Week in History.
On This Week in History, we have a special story about the last Roman emperor. On August 4th, 476, the teenage emperor Romulus Augustulus was forcibly deposed by Odoacer, a Germanic general in the Roman army. Augustulus only resigned for 10 months and was the last in the series of puppet emperors who oversaw the crumbling Western Roman Empire. The fall of Romulus Augustulus was emblematic of the larger fall of the Roman Empire, which was picked apart by Germanic and other barbarian armies. Romulus was 14 years old when his father, Otreus, declared him the Emperor of Rome. Otreus was known as a power-hungry military officer who led a rebellion against his boss, Emperor Julius Nepos, but instead of fighting, Nepos fled in AD 475, leaving the imperial seat vacant in the western Roman capital of Ravenna, Italy. Rather than claim the throne himself, Otreus installed his teenage son as a puppet emperor while Otreus pulled the strings. His true imperial name was probably Romulus Augustulus, but he was always called Augustulus, meaning Little Augustus. The only piece of evidence Augustulus's short reign are some gold coins minted with his name and likeness. The once great Roman Empire was already in rapid decline before Romulus Augustulus took power. A century earlier, the empire split into Western and Eastern empires, each with its own emperor. The Eastern Roman Empire eventually became the Byzantine Empire, while the Western Roman Empire fell prey to repeated barbarian invasions by Germanic groups such as the Vandals and Visigoths. By the late 5th century, the Western Roman Empire was mostly reduced to Italy, as its territories like Gaul, France, and Hispania, Spain, had been seized by Germanic kings. There were internal conflicts too. The Roman army at the time was largely composed of Foederici, barbarian troops under contract with the empire. Underpaid and angry, the Foederici demanded gold and land. When they didn't get it, they rebelled. The Foederici found a leader, Odoacer, a Germanic general in the Roman army, and in 476, Odoacer and his men marched on Ravenna and easily defeated Otreus, who was executed along with his brother. Odoacer spared the life of Romulus Augustulus and exiled the deposed emperor to a castle near Naples. Instead of claiming the throne for himself, Odoacer continued the imperial regalia, purple robes, and other royal insignias, and sent them to the emperor of the Eastern Roman Empire. The message was clear: the Western Empire is finished. Technically, Romulus Augustulus was merely a usurper of the throne, since Emperor Nepos never officially renounced his title, and therefore continued to rule in exile. Therefore, some historians argue that Nepos was actually the last Roman emperor until his death in 480. 4 years after Augustulus was deposed.
Bye, Mustangs!